Next time we get the chance, I'm buying you a pint. That means a lot, Adair. Oh, do you want one too? Sorry, I meant for Isselmere. I'll get you one too.
They do a lot of talking at the start of these episodes. Hey everyone, D-Dub Squizzy here, and welcome back to Pillars of Eternity. Okay, so, we're going to Bracken. No, we're going to First Fires first. Alright, so I'm pretty sure First Fires is where we need to go for story stuff.
Sure.
So I think we're still progressing the main story. Oh, right. Because that's split into 3 things. So I guess my main goal at the moment is to find the dude who's operating that machine and told those people to, like, melt themselves at the start of the game. I'm pretty sure that's what awakened me. Stones of this ancient tower have been blackened by centuries-old fires. Okay, this is the palace.
Politics, infighting, greed, and a shrine to Margaret as well. Her clergy belongs there.
Boy, he does not have a high opinion of the goddess that he worships, I have to be honest. I think I can safely use fast mode in the city. Just a side entrance. I don't know. Let's head in. We gotta get this legal matter dealt with. Super Chancellor Warren at the Hall of Records.
Good day to you.
Any news to share, or are you just here to see the Ducal Palace? Who are you? Page here. I deliver messages, run errands for the Duke and his advisors. Pay's not great, but I can think of better introductions to politics. Can't think. What goes on in here? Where to start? Got meetings, carries, ceremonies, such stuff that happens in the open. Duke and his advisors works. There's always someone bartering for a favor. Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to talk about that side of things. But if you want official version, we have a shrine devoted to Magrin, official records, and chambers for public hearings and council meeting. Kind of records, dull official stuff, census counts, tax records, militia records. Curious one day, got drafted into reshelving half the records. At the Shrine of Magrin. Symbol of Magrin's protection of Defiance Bay. Represents the revolutionary spirit of the Deerwood ever since independence. Her involvement in creating the Godhammer bomb only affirmed her importance to us. It's also where the first of the sacred fires burned, but Firga the Tranquil Ardent has had trouble keeping them lit. Hearing going on now, sure is. Duke Gavar's been meeting with some of the city leaders for weeks now, trying to figure out how to address the legacy. Whole business is terribly secret, though. Tried to sit in the gallery during my lunch break one day, got turned away. But a lot of the talk concerns animancy, so there's good reason they're keeping the meetings behind closed doors. Why is animancy so controversial? Traditionalists don't think it's a crime against gods. There's no questions poking around souls is risky, but the more progressive elements believe it's our only shot at restoring healthy births. It doesn't help matters that animancy research often involves old Anguthan relics that were illegally looted from ruins in Air Glanfath. What do you think about it? The real danger is confusing a real scholar with an expensive fake. Get a new case here every day. Some poor couple in the gift of Copperlane who spent every copper she had on a miracle cure for their unborn child. It never works. Let's see. Tell me about the current Duke. Avar Wolfgren. Don't let the title fool you, though. Our Dukes have been elected since independence. Some find Duke Avar rather coarse. He's a frontier noble. Personally, I think a rough and tumble type is just what Defiance Bay needs. Okay. So, what's where? That's the shrine. Hall of Records is up there, so that's the public meeting room. Let's head to the public meeting room last.
How do you do?
Praise be to Magrin, welcome to her temple. You seem upset. It's about the fires, isn't it? They're just symbols. You can't put your faith in them. Start on telling me what this is about. Sacred pyres all around town. You must have seen the statues of the goddess around the city, holding up empty braziers. Kept them burning steadily for 15 years, but haven't been able to conjure them for months now. People need to see them more than ever these days. What does that mean? My devotion and prayers that kept them lit, but lately when I try to pray, all I can think about are the hollow-born all over the city, grieving families, refugees. How could Magrin allow us to suffer like this? What strength do we gain from a soulless child? There we are. What strength do we gain from adversity, from trial and test? The fires don't wither because she lacks in faith. They wither because she does not understand how to be faithful to a whore. Whore wants neither praise nor devotion. Whore wants to be compensated for her services, and Magrin is paid and pleasured in sweat and struggle and pain. Yielding imbeciles unworthy of Magrin's womanly heat. This has shaken your faith? She nods, but I believe Magrin may be speaking to me again. You don't seem like the type who has much use for the mysteries of faith, but I can't think of any other way to explain this. Lately I've been seeing visions, a place in the wilderness with pools filled with sunbursts of color, strange falls that seem to rise to the heavens even while they splash into the earth. And behind the falls is a cave filled with fire and heat and danger and some token of my goddess. I know there's something there, but where is it or how I'd get there? I've been meaning to ask around to the expedition hall to see if anyone recognizes the description. To be honest, though, I don't know what I'd do even if I found the place. Worthless like so many of Magrin's flock, afraid of her god's tests if Magrin speaks to her. It is to hasten an end to a hypocrite's life, and this vision is surely a death trap for the weak. What's the significance? They symbolize Magrin's power guidance. Right now, the people of Defiance Bay need to be assured of her presence. Our neighbors in the Valian Republic see us as superstitious. We're just sensitive to the signs and warnings of the gods. Interesting. So I should ask someone there. I can ask around once I get the armor for that dude. To see if anyone in the expedition hall actually does know. Okay, and we're not gonna go around stealing. Ah, there's Chancellor Warren. He's who I'm here to see. Thank you for coming. I've been trying to track you down for some time. Marshal Forwin, Earl Batamar's military advisor. He will serve as a witness for this proceeding. Well met, Road Warden. Your reputation precedes you. I admit you created a bit of a stir throughout the nobility with your reclamation of Caed Nua. Most are still not sure what to think of you. What's this about? The legitimacy of your claim to Caed Nua is in question. Earl Batamar has issued a ruling on the matter. Caed Nua was abandoned for over a century, and I've claimed the land through strength of arms. My claim is legitimate. I think that was an actual thing in most medieval cultures. If there were no other claimant, you'd be correct. Unfortunately, this is not the case. All will be made clear once Lord Gathman arrives. Do you have any questions for me while we wait? Tell me about Earl Batamar. He comes from an esteemed line of lords that rose to prominence after the War of Defiance, some 150 years ago. Deerwood consists of 7 earldoms. The Batamars govern the northern earldom, known as the Grasp. As to the current Batamar, he's as fine a man as I know. It's an honor to serve him. Tell me more about the Grasp. Grasp is now the largest of the 7 earldoms after it consumed the pre-war earldom of Yenwood. It encompasses notable settlements such as New Homar, Darren's Grasp, Gilded Vale, and of course, Caed Nua. Yenwood? When the Deerwood was a mere colony of Adir, it was divided into 9 earldoms. When the Adirans were defeated and ultimately driven out, 2 of the earldoms were absorbed and borders were adjusted. Yenwood was one such earldom. And you know of Gathbin. Met him once. It was simple time to determine the character of Lord Arldor Gathbin, or lack thereof. He's descended from an old Adirian line, predates the War of Defiance. His great-grandfather was the Earl of Yenwood. What was that about Road Warden? One who rules Caed Nua on behalf of the Earl of Yenwood is traditionally known as the Road Warden. Your position might not be entirely official yet, but the title is an appropriate form of address. Don't have any more questions. Comes Lord Gathbin now. Well, that's kind of an intimidating sight, isn't it? Opulently dressed man strides towards the Chancellor, his sandy hair trailing him like a banner caught in a light breeze, boot heels echoing throughout the hall. Elven woman with cropped hair, dressed in dark, glinting mail, shadows his steps before taking position alongside him. Let's move past this formality as quickly as possible. I have other matters to attend to. It's well known that Caed Nua belongs to me, by right. And where is this pretender? He who murdered the Raedricks, my own sister and her husband, and now steals my land. Where is this low-born wretch? Warren clears his throat and glances at you. This man here, this is the Lord of Caed Nua? I thought he was just another servant. Perhaps a valet or porter. Can we get on with this, please? Warren breaks the seal on the scroll and unfurls it. Regarding the matter of the Gathman claim on Caed Nua, Earl Batamar finds the Gathman claim was never relinquished. By law, Caed Nua is the rightful property of the Gathman family. I knew it. I'm not yet finished reading, my lord. Gathman rolls his eyes, motions for the Chancellor to continue. However, the Earl recognized Kethgrim Fulger's part in reclaiming Caed Nua, a site that stood abandoned and even, some would say, cursed for over a century. Before Caed Nua's return to the Gathman family, the Earl has decreed that Lord Gathman will provide compensation in the form of absolutely not. Lord? The amount is quite reasonable, and a requirement for your land to be returned to you if you'll just allow me to finish. I'll not pay a single copper to this miscreant for my ancestral land. Do you think I'm blind to the Earl's motives, lackey? He thinks he can send a message with this insult? I have a message you can send, that son of a whore. Enough. How dare you give me an order? Lord, I suggest you calm yourself immediately. I'll have to be the marshal. The elven woman defiantly draws a pistol from her thick leathery belt, her eyes widen in anticipation. My lords, please, there's no need for violence. Lord Gathrin holds your gaze for several heartbeats, his eyes burning with hatred. I'll be coming for what's mine. Count on it. Come, Captain Emery, we're leaving. He sneers defiantly before storming down the hall. Captain lowers her pistol, gives a smirking shrug before following her employer. I can't say Gathrin's reaction was entirely unexpected. Through no fault of your own. I'm afraid you've made a powerful enemy. I've dealt with worse. Hope you're right. In any case, Caed Nua now officially belongs to you since Lord Gathrin has rejected the Earl's decree. He hands you a deep blue scepter which looks to have been carved entirely out of sapphire. Whoa. Yeah, this belonged to one of the old lords of Caed Nua. By right, it's yours. Halls of Caed Nua, no need for us to be enemies. I could just pay him. Nah, let's go with a feast. It's a pleasure to finally meet you. Perhaps we'll speak again under more pleasant circumstances. Okay, well that went about as well as I expected it to.
Hail, traveler.
Something I can pull for you. Look for militia records at the time of the Saints' War, trying to find out what happened to someone. We've had a number of inquiries about such information. I'm afraid we've had to bar access to the public. Seems like there are still quite a number of folk in Deerwood who would bear ill will toward Raid Karens. It would be irresponsible to surrender their names to just anyone. Perhaps if you were more established in Defiance Bay, things would be different. I have no reason to suspect you'd be any different from the others. Okay, so come back with more rep. Got it. Well, I'm a champion over in Gilded Vale, so I should be able to get a similar thing down here. That's interesting. That not only does your rep matter, but that it is directly referenced by someone as a requirement. I think that's pretty cool. Okay. Alright, so that's the Ducal Palace. We have the claims dealt with. I doubt that guy's going to accept my feast invitation. Or if he does, it's probably going to be a trap. But hey, maybe I can make a local lord friend. Not that I really like nobles at all. Better to be allies than enemies, though. Okay. A lot of these soul-seeing characters who, while I understand why backers get those privileges, I don't really care that much. I don't mean to sound rude or anything. I understand the game could not have been made without them, and I appreciate that. And I have no problem with them being in the game. It's just each one is a whole story. Were I playing alone, I'd probably read them all, but given that I'm doing this for a YouTube Let's Play, I think it's kind of a waste of time. And these episodes are already long enough to get some stuff done. I'll probably go through and see them all someday. What's this? This is an embassy. They'll probably not even let me in.
All these circling feet heading nowhere.
Okay, there we go. Now I can travel everywhere in the city. Not really an embassy. Okay. Yeah, let's head inside. The more quests, the merrier. Interesting that your biography expands itself. Okay, so this is not stealing for some reason. Oh, right, the scepter. Geared Human Stains. Soulbound scepter. What does that mean? Soulbound items are unique items that can be magically bonded with the soul of a single character. Once bound, the item can only be used by that character unless the bond is severed. Soulbound item will increase and powers the wielder complete certain requirements specified in the item's description. To unlock the next level. Whoa. Okay. It's a scepter. We're giving that to Aloth, I think. If I compare this 11 to 17 on both. Plus 4, plus 15, accurate 4. Plus 15 accuracy and plus 15% damage, 20% raw damage. And I think raw just gets through, like, everything, right? Raw damage is the only damage type that ignores all damage reductions. Wow, that's pretty good. Lines with wizard, priest, or druid. It's fast. Yeah, no, bind the soul of that baby. Nice. 200 raw damage to enemies to unlock the next level. Alright. Hello.
Gods keep you.
Humble Silver to the Republics do for you. Tell me about the Valian Republics. Rich in all ways, in wealth, style, culture. If you were to go to the Republics, you would not want to leave. Why would you? The people are beautiful and charming. I am here because the Songreta Ducala wishes it, but when my appointment is done, I will be on the first ship out, and I will sing from here to Solana. There's nothing else. I must return to my duties. What do you do here? Valian Ambassador. My job is to ensure trade with Deerwood remains strong and profitable.
Right.
Alright, yeah, pretty basic. You can't expect to get anything truly honest out of diplomats and ambassadors. Their job is to sell things. Sell countries. Even to the lowliest of people, they try to sell things to people.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm here. I suppose it can't be helped. There you go.
Alright, so not really much anything in here. It's interesting. The health on, what's it, Kethlar, I believe? Kuthlor. His health was reduced to 0, but he wasn't killed. He was just knocked down. So I'm not sure exactly what reducing health to 0 actually does to you, or how it works. Oh, there's an animancer.
Hail and well met.
One stands in the shade of the garden, muttering to herself, fixated on the page of a large and well-worn tome. Seemingly oblivious to the blooming flowers and the cool fragrant breeze, only looks up when your shadow across her page. Mind, I'm rather busy. What are you so busy with? Studying soul attachment. We all know that souls move into people at birth and out of them at death, but we still have a lot of questions about what makes them stick, so to speak. Souls power bodies and give their tissues life, but only when they're firmly attached. It's separation that leads to a whole spate of soul-related ailments, including the Hollowborn. But if we understood how to reattach souls, we could end Waydwin's legacy. Maybe even conquer death. That's the theory, anyway. Unfortunately, I don't have all the research I need to put it into practice. What exactly do you need? Manuscript called The Theorems of Pangram. It contains research from Pangram's experiments on detached souls. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries is rumored to have a copy in the Elder Archives. Pangram's work is considered to be one of the more daring animancy texts, not something generally circulated among novices, nor easy to get a hold of. Wonder if we might have a peek at it. I think I've already got it. Theorems could advance my research by leaps and bounds, but Grimda, the High Archivist, worships whale, which means she has some paradoxical views on sharing and restricting knowledge. Since she's not exactly a proponent of animancy, she tends to restrict the kinds of information that would be useful to me. That's a shame. Look at me, spilling my troubles. It's kind of you to listen, but I should really get back to my work. Anything else? You'll never believe what I found. You, Lady of Lament, you really found it! I can't believe it, it really exists. Thank you so much, this will be invaluable. Glad to help. Anything else? Those were questions about the theorems, such as? Tell me about them. Pangram was an animancer working in the Deerwood. Had some interesting theories about essence and some rather innovative techniques for studying it. He was able to reattach souls to bodies after death, although he wasn't able to prevent his patients from degenerating. It was controversial to say the least, so he was a necromancer. Seems to be a tiny problem with reattaching souls after death. Bodies will reanimate, may even retain memories, personality, but they develop a hunger for flesh. Living soul-infused flesh. Without it, they start to devolve, decaying mentally and physically. If the process goes too far, which it eventually does, they become mindless corpses attacking anything that moves. You wonder why Grimda won't share this research with you. This sounds like necromancy. Nonsense. Necromancy's magic, this is science. I think magic is science in this world. Why doesn't Grimda lend you the book? Rather protective of its books, especially the rarer ones. Grimda in particular hates animancy, thinks it's dangerous. Don't see how you can run the greatest library in Deerwood and be so adverse to the spread of knowledge and research. Some knowledge is best kept under lock and key. That's all I wanted to ask. Tell me about yourself. Animancer at the Sanitarium, currently researching matters related to Waydwin's legacy. Alright. So, what's this thing? Sanitarium. So is this an actual, like, madhouse? Or is this just a place they work? Two-sided. All it's mentioned Defiance Bay is an entire institution devoted to the study of illness in the soul. Okay. Whoa. Oh, they have another statue person. Head Warden Ethelmore. A well-maintained statue of a middle-aged man presides over the room, looking down unblinkingly. A strong warmth emanates from it you could sense from across the room. There's a human soul stored beneath the stonework. But some time since a watcher graced these halls. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. What is it that's brought you to my sanatorium? Tell me about the sanatorium. A history lesson? This is a rare pleasure. Most come in here only concerned with cheating death in one way or another. We're an old institution as Deerwood goes. This is our 94th year. As with many cities, the growth of Defiance Bay brought with it a host of problems. One of the worst was that those born with this, shall we say, ill-favored souls come to populate its streets in droves. Thus, the sanitarium. Brackenbury was a natural fit. It was growing, but there was also a lot of money here back then. This place owes its survival to the curiosities of the wealthy more than anything, I think. Our founding came at a time of great suspicion and animancy, much like today. So much progress has been lost to the mishaps of a few careless practitioners. But in time it was forgotten, as all things are. Since then we've been at the forefront of animancy's resurgence. We have played host to many gifted researchers and pushed the boundaries of our knowledge in ways we never thought possible. Some of the first safe transferences were done here, and we have pioneered work in soul purification, lineage analysis, preservation. It's really quite a list, if you'll pardon my pride. Today it's... well, I can't say it's exactly the same. There's been some push to shut us down. It comes from Deerwood's more excitable denizens, whose minds are more passionate than thoughtful, I'm afraid. People see this legacy, and they see it involves something they don't understand, so it's natural for them to suspect people whose understanding exceeds theirs. Looks to them like we're hiding something. We have a representative in the palace this very moment, defending the entire science of animancy at a hearing before the Duke, absurd as it sounds. If it does not go well, it could be the end of animancy in Deerwood. I fear Avar may be swayed by all this unrest, irrational though it may be. We shall see. Curious how you come to be in your present state. In the statue, you mean? Well, I was old, and it seemed wrong to me, a lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body, none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I am quite sure. To live on as part of something I helped build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to make an active role in the scholarly efforts here. Now and again, one of our animancers will humor me and consult over some problem, but they are a jealous breed, and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you're considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for the easily bored. You may have a member of the Leaden Key in your midst. I could have done without hearing that today. Many have their intrusions have been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled or whether calamity is struck on its own, but a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They're a perpetual nuisance. Once again, I'm reminded how envious I am of your gifts. I suspect they'd be of some use in verifying one's identity. You're at odds with the Leaden Key as well, I take it. They have something I need. Up to something I'm trying to determine what. They're always up to something, and of that you may rest assured. If their plots have come to involve you, you have my sympathies. Do you have some idea of who this person might be? I won't know until I've met them. Very well. In that case, I would recommend you speak first with our resident animancers. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here in their offices downstairs. You'll report anything suspicious to me immediately. This is my only request. Anyone know anything about awakenings? Animancer on the lower floor came all the way from Ravua to study them. Take the stairs down and look for Balassi. Alright. That dude's super helpful. Souls torn asunder by a Beowick. So you can see the patient is unresponsive, common after soul trauma. Small stone upon the patient's floor. Oh, there is a patient there. I didn't even see that dude. I can't... Is he a person I can talk to? Oswin. Panicked wild expression watches over him. Oddmer. Unfortunately, the extended dissociation has permanent side effects. Confident we'll be able to rehabilitate patients like Oswin. I get the feeling you won't.
Good day to you.
You come to sit in. What does he do here? Close as we are to the Glenfinth Wilds, we get a number of biowac babies every year. The essence is a mere whisper of what it was. Early in my research, only beginning to understand how they work. Time I hope to find a way. Alright. I assume he's part of some stuff later, because he doesn't seem all that interested in talking right now. What your soul may be trying to tell you. Of course there are books like that. Ah, there's the person.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Crossy, here I am looking so hard for answers in my research that I do not see the kid standing in front of me. What can I do for you? Looking for an expert on awakenings. That would be me, though the lack of research subjects has made me more of an expert in counting floorboards. I would like to transfer Animancy's success in buttressing pre-awakened souls to soothing those whose souls have already awakened, but I need subjects, and most of the patients here are too broken to produce reliable results. It's a tragedy to have come so far for nothing. You're in luck. I have a volunteer. Gallarda, who is it? I don't know about this. Don't be silly. The process is perfectly harmless. All you must do is stand in that cage. I beg your pardon? I jest. You Atirans are so uptight. I did not even know what the thing is used for. It belonged to the last occupant of this office, I think. Now they upgrade him to a cell. Again, I jest. So I need you to sit here. She takes Alice by the shoulder, steers him to the couch. Try to relax, but don't try too hard, then you will not be relaxing. Indeed. And you must also wear these. A little cold, but the copper will help conduct your essence. Fasten thick copper bands to Alot's forehead and wrists. Now I'll examine your soul through my scope. A long chambered tube, knob styles, and small toothed wheels run along the side of the device. It's fitted with agile lenses cut to different thicknesses and concavities. By manipulating them, I find the angles, densities that allow me to track the anomalies in your soul. How exciting. Never seen this sort of thing performed. It seems suitably complicated. Assuming we'll get to talk to Isilmir more? I like that lady. First, we must find this cunning interloper. You will answer some personal questions while I make adjustments. Very well. To begin, tell me something personal, something from a time before your awakening. Nothing to tell, just a normal child living in the Sithwood. Tell me about your parents. As you speak to Aloth, you feel your voice like a bell in your chest, until softly luring him into the mist of his own memory. Balasek doesn't seem to notice anything, but you feel as if your words are smoothing his essence, untangling its many threads. Well, there is a way most of the time, with the Thane's family, but I always know when she's coming home. Father's bottles accumulate like storm clouds on the horizon, his fits of temper becoming swifter, more violent. It still shames him, knowing that her hemnig to another man supports us better than his labors as a steward. It's good, I'm starting to see something. Continue, tell us about the time you awakened. In my 5th year of training, Mother's home, I can let my guard down a little because when she's around, he's usually only angry with her. But he has heard that I have had troubles casting missiles, that my flame shields are unstable. He's furious I have failed, and Mother's presence reminds him that he has failed too. The first blow takes me by surprise. One moment I'm sweeping the kitchen, the next I'm sprawled on the ground, stupidly looking at flecks of my blood on the tile. His boots glistening with fresh polish, thud across the floor. He kicks me in the stomach, and I curl up to shield my vitals, but it's pointless. Protecting one thing only leaves something else exposed. Still holding on the ground, I retreat as fast as I can. I retreat until the vision of the kitchen and my own trembling knees is nothing but a pinprick against a field of black. Tico. He's hypnotized himself with this old memory. You've got to bring him out of it, quickly. I almost have it. Shake him by the shoulders. You've got to wake up. As I snap open, the expression you see on him isn't his. You've scolded him off. A wilting daisy, that one. That's it. I'm seeing a shift in his essence, something spreading and congealing. Keep talking. He seems to respond to you. What brought you here? Cracking bones and voices high in ire. That warm molasses feeling that crips down your gut when crisis is nigh. Flares of totally distant essence. Jots short-handed notes onto the page. Now try to get the two of them talking. Isilmir, tell Aloth why you've awakened. Fie, he's the one that needed me, hiding in his own bone bag like a turtle in its shell. I never turned it over to you. Good, yes, very good. I can see two separate patterns of essence, where he ebbs, the other flows. It's as if the awakened soul fills the spaces that he leaves empty. Go on. What's this about seeking space to Idlemere? I've given her nothing. She usurps me in my own body. Aye, and I lend him a pair too. You should ask what I did that old man of his. How the last time he laid a hand on us, I broke it in 3 places. That wasn't your decision. It's never been your decision. Now I was awakening, but now I'm stuck with ye. And damned if I let your ninnying drag us both through the scupper. Very good. I think I finally got something we can work with. I've tracked Isilmir's essence throughout the exchange. She had a particularly high density index during the most heated portions of their argument. Her essence seemed to localize most clearly in the lower portion of the subject's left rib cage. That's right around the spleen, which of course means she's triggered by a black bile. No doubt the subject's characteristics, melancholy is to blame. Black bile is it? Certainly spat their share. It is a simpler explanation than I expected, all things considered. Never mind my user training, I suppose you have a better explanation? Isilmir manifests when Aloth is in danger or under pressure. Carefully scratches her jaw, gaze darting between you and I. I suppose it could be true. I'll check this against other research. Well and good for you, but what does this mean for me? Tap at her cheek with a quill, making a grand show of concentration. Catch her stealing a glance at you over the page. So she doesn't know. Dealing with your father, didn't she? She's trying to help you stand up for yourself. But I think you should hear her out. I mean, you don't like her methods. If you had to listen to her as much as I do, you wouldn't say that. I've got a lot to process regardless. Thanks for your help. I hope this has been useful to you, as it has been for me. I finally have material worth publishing. You'll be the toast of Ruvia, Fenthray Aloth. Aye, advancing the right-wise principles of animancy, just what you've always wanted. As you turn to leave, you catch a darting movement out of the corner of your eye. Willis Sage is humming to herself, still occupied their scope, but Aloth's holding her notes. He's just about to tuck them into his cloak when he catches you watching. Holds a finger to his lips, his eyes wide and imploring. Please, I don't want my personal information in public like this, especially not after her nonsense. Okay, this is tough. So I could say leave me out of this. I'm a paladin though, right? Got your explanation, she gets her research, that was the deal. I know you're gonna help you explain this one, Scholar Boy.
Huh?
I didn't want to make him unhappy, but you know, what can you do? Rapid recovery, constant recovery. I mean, like, yeah, let's just grab that. Better regen.
Yeah.
Okay. What in the world? Something's up with this chest. Examine it more closely. Large padlock on the front. Doesn't want anyone else to have or see. I take it you probably need like a pry bar to get into that. Fever stone is parchment. Let's see. As your shadow falls over, Skull looks up at you with mingled perplexity.
Good
and
day,
irritation.
stranger.
Can I help you? What are you working on? Area focus is wicks, more specifically how to cure them. Oh, you study wicks. What kind of question is that? Just think of all the families that could be healed, lives could be restored. What could be more important? Animancy has an answer here. I know it. It's a simple matter of working it out. Hollowborn retrieved a transplanted animal soul during infancy, one of Animancy's early efforts to cure the legacy, if not a successful one. They show signs of developmental abnormalities throughout their childhood, but when they reach adolescence they become aggressive, feral, but still victims in need of care. Seems like an odd solution. Animancers are trying to do something about the crisis, better than letting it swallow a generation of children. And despite the controversy, it only went so far because at first it seemed to work. People called it the salvation. Children that had never been responsive to any kind of stimuli suddenly seemed aware of their surroundings, of their families. The complications did begin till puberty, but that's when the incompatibilities between body and soul take shape. Children become violent, ravenous, but we paid dearly for our mistake, I promise you. Angry mobs hunted down animators and burned down their homes, with them still inside often as not. People took to calling it the cruel salvation, and many still loathe us for it. But we wanted to stop the legacy as much as anyone. The public begged for our help, and we did the best we could. I still don't know if that absolves us. Anything unusual been happening here? You must be joking. This is the Sanitarium. Nothing is usual down here. Although now that I think of it, the patients seem more agitated lately. They're Cade Manazzo's responsibility, not mine. And if there's nothing else, just looking around. Then be quick about it. Don't touch anything. The Sanitarium has a lax visitor policy, but I don't. Alright. So I take it that that guy that he mentioned who runs things down here is probably the prisoner of his own decision, like his own choice.
I'm here. I suppose it can't be helped. There you go.
Wow, that's not stealing. Patient record, the Midnight Man. Subject is female, mid-40s, awakened to a past life as a serial murderer, which now frequently emerges as the soul's dominant personality. Subject vacillates between violence and severe depression, resulting from guilt of past deeds. Male, approximately early 30s, power of speech absent, presumably as a result of the overfragmentation of his soul. As such, he is the ideal subject for present research. However, experimentation has caused severe pain and induced panic. To had to enlist the aid of the guards in transporting him for more recent procedures. Male, mid-20s, displays acute disassociation and paranoid delusion tendencies, causing anger and extreme violence. Dangers of working with the subject preclude possibilities of further use in present research. Male, approximately 17 years of age, admitted for episodes of catatonia followed by occasional violent outbursts. Initial analysis of soul revealed severe fragmentation and essence deficiency. Said deficiency all but eliminates the possibility of utilizing the subject in present research. Well, those aren't stealing. I'll take them. Note from Azo. Ripley, I require more copper tubing for my next experiment. Do not requisition it from the Sanitarium stores. I don't have the time to deal with the head warden's inevitable questions.
Well met, friend.
You startled me. You're supposed to be here? What do you do here? I mostly help Master Azo set up and clean his equipment. I also keep his office organized since he's too busy to do it himself. There's nothing else? Okay. Empty office.
Good day, stranger.
Oh, so how do I get in there? Oh, what's going on here? Taxes collected. All earnings were lost to bandits. My goodness, I really need to deal with those things. Problem is, I can't. Hold on, is there like a hidden key somewhere? Scouting mode. Let's go check his office. If not, I can try to open that chest. Yeah, I know you see us. We're not really trying to sneak. Just trying to look. Okay, I'm just gonna save first. Open the trunk. Heavy lock holds the trunk shut. Too sturdy to break. The mechanism looks too complicated to pick. You'll need to find a key. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should go talk to the warden about this. At least we helped Aloth.
Good day, stranger.
Found records that Azo may be running some questionable experiments. Cademan Azo is in charge of patient welfare now. He's not authorized to run any more experiments. I am disappointed in Cademan. I had hoped he would be the one to guide your inquiry. He'll be in his office or in the patient wards. I'm granting you immediate access so you can find him. No doubt you'll wish to speak to him further on this matter, and I, for one, am curious as to what he might have to say. Tread carefully in the wards. There are a few dangerous cases. I would also ask you to do your best not to agitate the patients. They have enough troubles as it is. Interview Graham in the North Ward. Well, as a watcher, I might be able to calm some of these people, honestly. Because I can not only see their souls, I can manipulate them to an extent. Careful. Oh my goodness. He just got flesh golems standing around. What in the world? Cursed mind twists his woman's posture forward. Greasy hair draped over large eyes like vines. You must be visiting someone. A friendly visit, I hope. Why are you in here? I don't want to say. You'll think less of me. I wouldn't worry about that. These last few years haven't been kind to me. Haven't been kind to anyone, really. I try not to think of it as personal. Lost my husband and both boys in the Saints' War. My daughter, the legacy, took her before she was ever mine. I made do. What else can you do? I moved into a tiny place in Andra's gift got by mending clothes and on the kindness of strangers when I had to, but I was surviving and the gods were watching over me. I could live with that. Then one day this noblewoman comes in and wants this fancy gown fixed. Gorgeous thing, the shade of blue I'd never seen before. Only I had. I looked at it and it reminded me of something. I had what they call an awakening. I've remembered being a noblewoman myself in another life. People doting over me. Men doting over me. Me! The best food, the most beautiful home, all the things you'd never dare to dream of. They were mine. It was poison knowing that. All those things I had that I'll never have in this life, it did something to me. My food started to taste rotten. The walls in my little home seemed to close in around me. I stopped being able to sleep in my own bed. So I came here. It was that or break into an estate and start ordering servants around. It seems like such a silly thing to worry about. You don't have to tell me, but I can't get past it. I start to wonder, did the gods choose this life for me? And if so, what terrible thing must I have done to deserve it? Nobody to deserve. You have to right for nothing but live with it. Maybe you'll get there one day, if not in this life, then in another. Strange part is, I think even the best wouldn't be good enough for me anymore. I think it must have gone to that point when I was that noble lady. Acting unusually? Well, there's Matixo relives a murder she committed more than 5 lifetimes ago. Idleman, who they say is only half a soul, and who was found collecting the faces of others because he believed his own to be a false one. Graham, he speaks in a language no one understands, and wails at night sometimes. Different from their normal behavior, I mean. Well, yes, I suppose, but nothing they didn't volunteer for. Master Azo let us know that a number of patients in the North Ward had volunteered for new therapy and would be escorted to his laboratory to receive treatment. North Ward has our most troubled cases. I'm glad some of them have chosen to get help. It seems to me it's gotten quiet over there since it started. It's Graham I see them taking in the most. He struggles, but he always was a bit of a wild one. Would I be able to visit? They'd like to keep them separate. I don't know if I have seen the guards allow a visitor, just Master Azo. You might ask him. Norm at find Azo? They've seen him around today. If you check the laboratory, it shares a wall with his office. He's been spending most of his time there. What do you know about him? I like him very much. Many animators could care less about their patients, look at us like vermin for their experiments. He treats us like humans, even the very sick. He's helped me understand a great deal about myself. I don't know he's done the same for others. I know he's done the same for others. It's too bad what they did to him. What happened to him? I don't like to talk about it, but there was an accident. He was said to be one of the brightest in Deerwood. That was his reputation here, and that was what brought me to seek treatment. People say it was ego that drove him to try and salt the legacy, but that's hogwash, even if he was a bit of a showman. Loves his homeland, thought he could help. He wasn't one to speak of his work, suspected his colleagues might have tried to steal it, but he told me once that he had figured out a way to create a soul. Not a soul exactly, mind you. How did he put it? A proxy, I think he called it. Had some machine that drew energy out of the very ether. Can you imagine? The point is, I was going to help with the legacy. It was going to make Hollowborn into something easier to love and care for. Gods know that's something we need. You know what they call those empty little babies in Andra's gift? No. They call them buoys, because so many of them are found floating face down in the water. These are mad times. Anyway, Master Azo had scheduled a public demonstration of his work in Copperlane, so excited, and the next day he was locked in his office, turning away visitors, I heard, and he stopped seeing patients. Don't know what happened. I don't know if it's hard to ask him. I'm glad they're letting him treat people again. Said he made me a better soul. Oh, someone left mead down here for some reason. I do not like how many flesh golems there are just standing around. That is super unpleasant. Wildly uncool. It does make sense, right? I mean, mages would be using constructs as guards if they could. They're just everywhere. Okay, that's a key thing. Azo is down here.
How about that?
Huh. Oh, that's not worth much, is it? That'd be his laboratory. He's very possibly a Leaden Key member, so this could turn violent. If it does, the whole level's getting violent.
Huh? I'm here. There you go.
Huh?
Not sure how I feel about this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Round-faced, balding man's turned to face you. His upper lip is pulled upward slightly by his pointed nose.
What is the meaning of this?
Ethelmore told me you're not supposed to be doing any more experiments. Yes, well, Ethelmore hasn't done much good for anybody since he had his soul moved to an inanimate object, so I fail to see why I should let that sway me. If all animancers all followed the commands of their leaders, where would we be? We'd all be as backward and willfully ignorant as Raid Karas. We would know nothing about life or death, or even ourselves. We'd be lost in the dark with no clue as to why. Never thought I'd find myself in agreement with a statue, but Ethelmore's right about this fellow at least. How easily ambition masquerades as prudence. I'll bet he's fooled even himself. You toy with things beyond your comprehension. It's dangerous and
Are you
foolish.
from Raed Ceres? Are you Widewin himself, risen to smite me for my heretical belief in learning who I am and why I exist? Please. You are afraid because men have taught you to be afraid. Because they were taught to be afraid. These things are only beyond our comprehension because of the fears of people like you. Who will solve Widewen's legacy? Some church? Some warrior? It will be an animancer, or it will be no one at all.
I heard you were demoted. How'd it happen? None of your concern. One of the others put you up to this? Oddmer, that smug weasel? Things went wrong. Everything. I don't know how. I'll never know. I need to ask House to the northward. Out of the question. Those patients are in isolation for a reason. I've been given permission to conduct my investigation down here. You'd best cooperate.
My answer is no. Whatever you're looking for, those
I've seen your records. I know what you're doing with them.
are private.
Balls up his fist and digs his teeth into his index finger, a growl simmering beneath his breath, and a deep scowl compressing his face.
Speak to them for all the good it'll do you. I'm sure the discussions will be fascinating.
Tried your experiments on anyone else? I have, yes. No point in lying about it now that Ethelmar's involved. I asked for volunteers from our patients, and a few brave souls came forward. I'm very close to at one time to a breakthrough. They understood that. They understood their sacrifices would mean something.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. Oh, these aren't stealing. Unique light armor. 50 defense while stunned and while prone. Whoa. And it lowers those ones by a lot. A unique mace. 3 damage resistant bypass. Accuracy when attacking some target as an ally. When attacking the same target as an ally. That's weird. Okay.
Right.
Does anyone actually use maces at all? I don't think... I'm pretty sure Knight doesn't have the mace thing. Morning Star and Crossbow. Pike Warhammer. Oh, and then he doesn't. Yeah. Unfortunate. As for the light armor, I think this is probably better than his. Doesn't have the same slash. It's got a better recovery speed. Better basic damage resistance. Plus 10% ability area of effect. Plus 2 damage reduction. Yeah, sure. I'll hang on to his armor anyway. Just in case it ends up being not quite as good. I guess I should go up here first, because I think he gave me access to that door. Yeah. So what's this? An empty office? I'm not sure. What is this place?
Steady does it.
Huh, weird. Oh, there's a door here, though. And it won't open. Oh. Okay, yeah, wicks are in the cell. Okay. Is this my face? Tell me.
Huh? Yeah.
I'm here.
Thunder and sky, rain of blood, innocence must
I'm
be
here.
drown. Haunted animal let you approach. He stuck us back with the far corner of a cell, halfway appearing as though he would climb the walls if you would get him farther away from you. I need you to ask me some questions. Graham looks at you blankly. It's unclear whether he understands you or not, but his panic is momentarily subsided. Opens his mouth to speak, but the words that come out are half-formed as though his tongue were cut out. I don't think he can speak anymore. Not in words, at least. This is monstrous. On you against your will, didn't he? He looks at you with uncertainty. Slowly, tentatively, he steps closer to the front of his cell, and as he does so, for the first time, you can perceive his soul within your ken. It is misshapen, as though made by some jagged instrument, and large expanses of it have been gouged out entirely. No barriers of resistance. If you wanted to, you could look further into Graham's soul. Project out toward the main soul. In front of you, merging with it, its confusion and fear becoming yours, it whisk you into its depths. You're in your cell. A key turns, door creaks open on neglected hinges. Thoughts come to you in waves, incomplete, broken, fearful. Standing at the door is a rotund, balding man. His upper teeth and pointy nose remind you of a rat. He beckons, apologetic. You don't want to go. Anything else in your mind is a single word, and the word is no. But it dissolves before it reaches your lips. You press against the back wall, cornered. You cry out. In darkness, you fight against unseen restraints. You cannot move your arms or legs. The man walks in the room carrying a lit candle. Its meager flame casting long shadows across books and machinery. Straps bind your arms and legs. Cold metal circumscribes the crown of your head and the breadth of your chest. The man is sorry. He's in need of raw materials. They dismantled his work and he needs another source. He needs to show them he was right. He thanks you. Then he turns a knob, and you feel yourself begin to crack from within. You can feel pieces of you torn away, like having your insides chewed by a horde of rats. Another night, heavy footsteps outside your door coming for you. You look through a slit in your door, the flesh giant, the artificial being just outside, but facing left, facing the end of the hall, the boy there. The boy looks with interest at the giant, then collapses to the floor like a shed snakeskin. The giant convulses for a moment, then rights itself, turns away, and leaves. Graham looks at you still, wide-eyed, but somehow more present. He nods at you, then wails back to the end of his cell. Weird.
These poor people. This isn't the treatment that they were promised upstairs by the cushioned seats and lush carpets. Is that the cure for soul sickness? To be thrown into a cell and subjected to the whims of your captor?
What were you expecting? I've seen the sick and the mad exiled or else treated like contagious vermin, but I can't believe this is the kindest alternative. But if all were treated like this, the sanitarium would never survive. What did these patients do to warrant such conditions? Yep, here's the source of all that knowledge you were so giddy about. It is one thing to be told as much, another to see it yourself. Let's be on our way. The place gnaws at my soul. A willowed adolescent boy stands in the center of his cell, gawkish and stoop-shouldered. He stares straight ahead. The occasional blink of his only movement, and it's unclear whether he registers your presence at all behind his glassy, doll-like eyes. In this state, the barriers between your soul and his are thin and porous, easily bypassed. Close your eyes, edge forward towards the boy's soul. As you near, a sudden malaise comes over you. You're cold and warm all at once, sweating and shivering and straining for breath. The soul you approach is the wrong one, a parasitic plant that strangles its host. It's predatory and pitiless. You have crossed paths with it before. Too late does it occur to you to retract. You already feel yourself plunging into some interminable abyss of thought and memory. You're standing in a cell now, the same cell in the sanitarium. Halls are moonlit and empty. At the far end of the ward, door opens within a flesh golem in silhouette beneath the stone archway. Makes its usual rounds, same stops every time. It's begun child of despondent creators. When the construct is close, you coil yourself up and spring forward, passing out of the boy's body as though it were a membrane. You can sense his body behind you, collapse into the floor, puppet whose strings are cut. You're rushing toward the golem now, bodiless as a gust of wind. Quickly you think to yourself, and you feel the strength hemorrhaging from your soul as you dart towards the makeshift abomination. Oh no. The Leaden Key agent passed to that dude, and then passed into a flesh golem? Heavy foot down corridors, unheeded by the other constructs, and scrutinized only by the wary, unsourced with the eyes of the mad. Driving at last to an office, piled with books and scribbled papers and the perverse implements of animancy. You set your oversized hands upon a large machine, nest of globes and tubes and coils in the center room, go to work. Surroundings are pulled past you, perhaps you pulled past them, and they dissolve into a blur. When they settle in place again, you're outside on a clear day, standing in front of a crowd stacked high above you, tired seats of an amphitheater, acting for the crowd. A balding man with rodent-like features is strapping you to a machine, the one you had tampered with. You see your arms for the first time, short and fleshy, unmistakably those of a little girl. But this body is not truly yours. Your mind still holds the same determination, the same heartedness as before. The body itself is cold and vacuous. Unlike the others, this one has no soul of its own. The man speaks, and the crowd applauds with enthusiasm worthy of a hero's entrance. Bear witness, he says, and he pulls a lever. The machine shivers and sparks, and a bead of sweat rolls down the side of the man's brow, but the crowd's apprehension quickly gives way to awe as a crystal globe fills with a radiant mist that casts the entire theater aglow. He opens a valve, the glow crawls through a tube along the length of copper wiring that runs to a set of electrodes beneath your armpits. Feel nothing when it reaches you, as it should be. You have been leading his work astray periodically from time to time, or for some time, altering notes and settings and playing puppeteer for Hollowborn. You make it look how people would expect it to look when a body is infused with a soul. In a moment, the machine goes dark, the man unstraps you, eyeing you with a scientist concern. He looks back at the crowd. Behold, he says, but there's an obvious hesitation in his voice. Slowly, you take a plodding step forward, then another, and another. You look up at the man, giving him the eye contact of which no Hollowborn is capable, and the crowd gasps. How do you feel? He asks you at a volume meant for a crowd. And this is the moment. At the top of your lungs, you let out a piercing shriek. The man comes towards you, his hands outstretched, but you run the other way, back to the machine. With all your strength, you drive your head into the crystal globe, and it shatters, streaking your head with warm blood. Drive your head down onto the surface of the machine again and again, drawing panic screams from the crowd, and by the time the man reaches you, your body has already ceased proper function and merely twitches on the cold ground. Satisfied, you depart the corpse in search of another unsuspecting host. Pulled again from your surroundings, transcending the boundaries of the memories and lifetimes, deeper and deeper past betrayals and murders and lies upon lies that form the thick webbing of plots beyond mortal comprehension. Settle at last on a room you've seen before, expansive with a tall device encased in an agile monolith at its center. The room is filled with people, and all the people all look at the device. You're getting suddenly back to reality, and the once catatonic boy in the cell is looking directly at you, appraising, calculating. There's no mistaking now that it is the soul of the man who caused your awakening that gazes out from that borrowed husk. A watcher. You made me into a watcher. I need you to undo it. Is that so? He makes no effort to hide his disinterest, but continues to search your eyes. He makes a slight grunting noise. His eyes soften for an instant. It seems at that moment that he recognizes you. Opens his mouth to speak, then seems to think better of what he was about to say. I know your look, your hunger. Hunger for answers that elude you. It gnaws at your soul. It usurps your reason for being. You are like everyone. It will help you let go. He dodges backward with startling grace, putting himself out of reach. On his face there is no malice, only the dispassion of a farmer putting down a sick animal. Then suddenly he slumps forward. Oh no. Nope. And they are unhappy. Okay, no, we have flesh constructs. Kill those things first. Yeah, just gun that thing down. Okay, sword out. Get in there and fight Graham. This will hurt the flesh golems if I use it. That one's got some kind of magic. Okay, close in on that person. You get the sword out, charge that one. Hit them with another one of these. Okay. That's probably a good call. Most of them aren't very strong. It looks like they're taking damage pretty rapidly. That's Durance. He's taking a lot of hits. Where is Eater?
I'm here.
Do it again. We can hit like the whole group with these things. Durance is gonna die. Yeah. That thing's dead. Good. Just kill that one. Okay. Keep blasting the whole area with this thing.
Shot.
Got him. Oh, actually. Just book slap him. Okay, I am still fighting this thing. Keep that thing on the ground.
Love.
That's it.
I'm here.
Unfortunately, I think he made his escape. That was it. And it sounds like the rest of this place has gone berserk. Forgotten Hollow added. The quest expires in 1 day. 20 years ago, Woodsman and Logum had a gift bearer of Andra buried the painful memories of his dead wife, someone the dense forest known as Blackweir. Since his recent death, his daughter's been searching for information. Gift bearer's only been seen twice by locals in the last decade. Yeah, well, got to assign it to someone.
Sure.
I don't think don't have the time to deal with it. Yikes. So things are going poorly, I assume? Oh, yes. Oh! He still has that out.
Hi.
These ones are in for...
Okay, so we can kill flesh golems without too big of a problem. I need to get down to the leader of this place, see what's going on with him. Where are the other patients? What's happened? They're not in their cells. None of them. What have you done? You've been experimenting on patients against their wills, mangling their souls. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. How could you possibly... Look, it had to be done. Ethelmore and the others, they took everything from me. Everything. When I was this close, I had to know. Had to know where I failed and why. Imagine the value if I'd succeeded. I had something that could make all these hollow infants into something, like a real person. And with a few more patrons and a few years' research, who knows? No one has come that close with a legacy. It's why I have to continue. Why I have to risk everything here working in secret. It's why if you have to lie to Ethelmore for me. Tell him you've cleared me of all suspicion. I'm going to expose you for what you are.
Then I can't let you...
Okay. Look, it's not working. Oh, he wizard doubled himself. Of course he would. We have to crit him, I think, in order to make this work at all. That's probably not going to hit him anyway. That doesn't need to crit. Close to breakthrough, found an ample source of essence now, and the vessels have responded positively to infusion with the proxy. Human trials is the next logical course. Subject is a male, approximately early 30s, part of speech absent, presumably as a result of the overfragmentation of his soul. As such, this is the ideal subject for present research. However, experimentation has caused severe pain and induced panic, and I've had to enlist the aid of the guards in transporting him for more recent procedures. Yeah, I don't go around lying to people. Or lying to people for other people. Whoop. Someone just do 300 damage to that thing? Oh, great, the wits are loose. Nope. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay.
Let's go.
Yep. Okay. Let's just take a look around. Where are the patients? What happened? Did they all die? We gotta clear this place out now, because I can't have these things running rampant in the streets.
These ones are in for a walloping!
How may I help?
How are things going with that scepter? 52 raw damage, 200.
Yeah.
Takes a little while to build up some damage. It doesn't deal that much raw damage, just a little bit. But if that thing just keeps getting stronger as time goes on, that'll be super cool. There was a guard down here, wasn't there? What happened to that dude?
How may I? These ones are...
don't know how that can still be stealing, given that everyone down here is dead.
Nice and quiet.
Doesn't look like there's anything else to grab down here, though. Please tell me the whole sanitarium isn't going to try to kill me when I leave. Oh no, where are the other people? Those things are not going to make it out. These animancers are all spellcasters, which means they'll kill everything. Oh yeah, I know. I plan on doing that. Okay, at least they're okay. That one of the prisoners? I think that was one of the prisoners. Might have been the assistant, because the assistant had left the office. Don't know about the guards. I think they're all dead, but I didn't see the patients down there at all, anywhere. What the blazes happened down there? You're given permission to ask questions. Who's criminals with the Leaden Key, only without knowing it. I have read accounts of people in history who could do what you described. The accounts are few and brief and never reliable. Some go as far as that they're all the same person. If truly such a person was here amongst us plotting our ruin, would that I had a body again and could be of some real use in our time of need. I'm grateful you were able to dispatch that threat before the loss of innocent life. We very nearly had another scandal on our hands. What of Azo? What part did his experiments play in this? I confronted him and was forced to kill him. Such a waste, there was none more gifted working here. In time, I had hoped to rehabilitate his image, but a mind like his, so full of ideas, leaves little room for patience. I would inquire more into the matter, but in truth, you have done this institution a favor. Were his transgressions ever to reach the public, there would be a terrible uproar. I was blind to have trusted him a second time. I trust you will be more cautious in future inquiries.
Good day to you.
Nope, I guess I am done down here. Two-sided. Oh, yeah, I still need to talk to him about that. So the guy got away. Well, that's unpleasant. Didn't he? I'm pretty sure he got away.
Hello.
More about the sanitarium.
Greetings.
So yeah, he doesn't really give much other information. He's probably part of something in the future. I think Aloth might speak to me after we leave. Since I finished his quest and it's green, but doesn't have much else on it. Oh.
Good day to you.
Partner, a message for you. You're summoned to Hadrid House where Lady Webb wishes to meet with you as soon as possible. I thought locals were exaggerating about Dunnard Row. Seems like your names come up in some important meetings. I hope nobody was shouting it at the time. Talking with Lady Webb. You know, Lady Webb, no one's seen her exactly in a long time. She's the mistress of Dunnard Row. Has been for as long as I can remember. She's supposed to be old, older than anybody, and she never leaves her room. Some say she's wasted away just a pile of bones kept animated by dark magic. She's still at it, best anyone can tell, learning things, keeping us safe, pulling the strings behind the throne too, it said. Has a ring of ciphers doing her bidding, telling her everything that goes on. You do wrong in this country. Before you go asking the gods for forgiveness, best to ask Lady Webb first. But you know where to find me. It's Lady Webb. She knows everything. You're gonna find it just over there at southwest corner of Brackenbury. What's Dunnard Row? Whole mess of Cypers run out of Hadrid House. They make it their business to keep the peace, but they don't like you to see them do it. Okay.
Have you ever chased a skirt wizard? Or do you merely hide behind them?
Don't pawn your personal problems off on me.
They will use you. Cast you off when
Whoa.
it suits them. Never speak another word to you.
So near the apparition, you are overcome suddenly by a powerful anxiety that sits like a stone in your stomach. Feeling is not quite real, a recollection of an emotion rather than the emotion itself. Apparition's brows tense, look and concern across its plain face.
The other missionaries say you have been neglectful of your duties.
My mind has been elsewhere.
Oh? And what troubles you?
Pain in your stomach deepens. You feel for a moment as though you're about to be sick. Your mouth has gone dry. Forgive me, Eminence. I wish to leave the order.
You have been an apt student, and your convictions have inspired those around you. May I ask what has changed to make you feel this way?
I've done something unforgivable.
I see. And you would cast yourself out, is that it?
No god would have me now.
If you believe that, then I have failed you as a teacher. There are many gods so that all people are looked after, no matter who they are or what they've done. The only ones who need fear anything are those who abandon their gods, thinking all is lost. But for those who beg help and forgiveness, the gods always provide.
Wait for the deserving.
I will tell you the truth. There may be some among the gods who would see you punished. But after punishment comes absolution, redemption. Whatever stain there is upon your soul, the gods can wash it clean. But you must dedicate yourself to them in return. That is what makes one deserving. Will you return the faith they put in you?
There's in phase you start to become cognizant of the many odd looks aimed in your direction. Your last response is in your mind, I will. Who is that dude?
Maybe they just don't answer to fiery whore.
Okay, so that's Hadrid House. I think this episode's going kind of long, but I want to finish up this part of the city. We'll see if it balloons into a whole other thing. That's Audra. Why is there a bunch of Audra down here? Oh, I guess that's just part of the city. Alright, well, let's head up here. What is this? House Domino?
Well met, friend.
Don't recognize you what business you have. About House Domino. All old and respected family, much Defiance Bay's properties due to their business activities. Any further questions? Farewell. Okay, so I don't have any business there. Can't really do much. That works. And they had a lot of backers. All of the characters and then all of the names on the graves and stuff. Charred barrel. Okay, so this is some kind of business place. Raymond Manor. Right, I don't need to use those anymore. Where's Stonewall sheltered? Okay, so I could climb up there. But why would I? I don't think I have anything to do with this place.
Well met, friend.
Shipping manifested will manicured hands. If you have business to discuss, make an appointment with my attendant. Tell about yourself. I'm lord of this house, not prone to idle chatter. If you have no business here, I suggest you be off. That was expected.
I'm here.
Hold up, he has locks.
Not sure how I feel about this.
More servants. I could steal the place blind, but he doesn't seem to be too focused on getting me out of his house. I'll take a look around, see if there's anything suspicious. Whoop. I'm afraid I'll have to ask you to return downstairs. Visitors aren't permitted. Backhander, that's terrible. Okay, so I could sneak in and just see what happens, I guess. Yeah, I mean... Climb the vines. As you rise, you feel the vines begin to give way beneath your weight. Vines crumble to the ground while you struggle for purchase. Okay. You might be able to make it to the top if you're quick. So, grappling hook. Climb the rope. Detect movement inside the house. Blinking as your eyes adjust to the dim interior, you slip inside the manor. So I wonder if there's something suspicious going on in here. I guess this is not stealing.
Yeah.
Nice and quiet.
Look there.
Oh, secret door.
Braved up.
Whoop! You know, I just don't think it's a good guy thing to just go breaking into houses, right? I don't have a reason to go in there. So there isn't any reason
Right.
for me to try. I was thinking maybe there might be something suspicious they were going to pull, but even so, I mean, that'd be trespassing from the start. I don't know. That's probably just a way that you can get into steel. So you run me out of town, you can tell I'm not going anywhere without that medallion. I told Cyril I wouldn't let her sell it if that's what you're here about. What are you talking about? Feels a courtesan over at the salty mast, Andres Git. Been working together for over a year now. Find a noble with more money and sense, fill him up with liquor, send him her way. 100 coppers here, trinket there, it's a bounty for us. That's dishonest. It's surviving. If these nobles have more wealth than they hang on to, why should they keep it? Anyway, we all split the bounty till a week ago. Takes a necklace off of some noble and with a medallion. Near priceless, relic sacred to my clan, but you won't part with it for any sum I could afford. Even if I wanted to, I can't go home without it. You're both a couple of cheats, getting what you deserve. Good riddance. I'll talk to her, but it's probably not going to be a pleasant talking to.
Good day, stranger.
Moment, who are you? Cartographer for the Duke for decades, crossed the White March half a dozen times, mapped most of the ruins of Thane Bog. Good career, one suited to younger men. Strong ale, quality entertainment. Is this your place? My retirement used to be a warehouse back when Brackbury saw more ship traffic, but it fell out of use in the area, became mostly residential. Now it's the most popular spot in Brackenbury. Alright. Hold on, what else?
Hail,
was that?
traveler.
Show me your menu. Oh. Alright. Oh, there's a downstairs. Bandits?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
here.
I can see that.
Huh?
Shh.
Huh?
I think I'm gonna need to talk to the own innkeeper about them. Although I doubt he'll have anything to say, given that the bandits didn't have anything to say.
Good day, stranger.
Yeah. Alright, let's go upstairs. Pirates. Don't know each other, stranger, just keep it that way. Brings you the charred barrel. What's it look like? Good wine, little peace and quiet. It's scary and doesn't ask too many questions. Seem like a local. I'm a sailor and a liberator of certain goods. And the nice thing about the snobs here is they're usually too polite to ask more.
I'm here. I suppose it
There
can't
you
be
go.
helped.
Sure.
Alright. So, not much of interest going on there. I'll probably come back and rest before I'm done with the episode. Okay.
Yeah.
Good day, stranger.
Carry whispers, Cadnua, Gilded Veil, old voices indeed. How'd you know? As a cipher, it's my job to know these things. You carry the whiff of ancients. What else can you tell me? Not as much as I would like, unfortunately. My duties for Lady Webb require me to focus my talents elsewhere. What brings you to Dunner Grove was invited. Forgive me, she doesn't take many visitors, but the ones she does invite are a fascinating lot. I've always marveled at her choices. Nothing in common to my eyes, but her sight is far keener than mine. Her room is upstairs, the one with the guards out front. The city may not understand her value, but the Duke certainly does. Looks like you could use some help. So many secrets and trails in the city. You have to but turn a corner to find a fresh trace of something stolen or missing. Unfortunately, we haven't the time to investigate them all. Supposed to be working on other matters. Mine still lingers on a few recent cases. Curse of a cipher. Tell me about the cases. 1 case or 3, depending on how you look at it. 3 weeks and a disappearance at the end of each. Some might call it coincidence. I call it a clue. Lady Webb knows you, trusts you, so I should trust you too, as long as our interests are aligned. I'll look into it. Where should I start? Copper Lane, Andres Gift, and Brackenbury, of course. To talk to the ones who reported their disappearances, the only ones who know enough to care. Laura, Ollie, and Elka. Who's missing? 2 men, 1 woman, Landry, Lendl, and Cora. Best to ask. Seems they drank together at the Salty Mast and Andres Gift. Reported missing by Elka, dwarf who carried traces of fine wine and young dandies. Plenty of time and money to spend on your pleasures. Try Brackenbury. One of the merchants in the Copperland Bazaar, not the kind of person who would just disappear. Find any leads? Not yet. No obvious connection between the victims, which is what makes me wonder so. To be animancy related, researchers always need subjects. Less scrupulous types in particular. Seems too risky for the Sanitarium. I wouldn't put it past them. Talk first to people who reported our victims missing. Alright. Tell me about your skills. Check for soul connections. Look over lost things. I'm a cipher. We were once known as Bershalgwin. Mindhunters. Nice title, yes, but it wasn't until the Animancers began we truly understood our power. Now we make some of the best detectives in the world. Tracing souls, we look at a person, see where they've been, or look at a weapon, see who's touched it. Useful for solving crimes. Nothing. Alright.
Huh?
So it's like almost a secret society of vigilantes.
I'm here. It's no trouble. There you go. Not sure how I feel about this. There you go.
Okay. Well, let's head upstairs then. Find the woman who runs the joint. I should probably look into that enchanting thing more. Let me see this. So if I just like... I don't even have any non-magical stuff. If I do this, go to enchant. Interesting. I can make it fine using these things. Level 4, smithing 2. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, it can only be enchanted a certain number of times. That's fascinating, though. Can you enchant anything? Maybe not anything. I don't think you can enchant that. You cannot. So certain special, unique things you can't. You can't do it to that, or that, or that, or much of anything. Can you only do it to armor and weapons and shields? Looks like it. But you can enchant this thing, interestingly enough. Fine. Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome, actually. What is this? Drake Talon. Ah. Yeah, so now it's just as good as this thing, with its extra bonuses, so I can keep it in my main hand. Okay. That'd be her room. Nothing else. Lady Webb.
I'm here. There you go.
Yeah.
Woman clutched a thick stack of parchment with spindly, wrinkled fingers, flesh stretched thin and near translucence with extreme age. Gossamer veil over pale blue veins.
So, the messenger conveyed my summons. A miracle that would make the reincarnation of Aothis look like a child's cantrip, surely. It doesn't draw the most inspired minds, messaging.
Once you took over Caed Nua,
they failed me so many times of late.
Where I am for long. Deeds like that, I see me so true. The spies of her don't
this
this much.
fiasco in the Sanitarium that you seem to have gotten yourself into the middle of. What in blazes possessed you to stir that nest of trouble?
I'm investigating a strange group.
Strange does not begin to describe. You're not the only one with an interest in their recent activities. I've lost 4 ciphers this year alone trying to get someone inside their ranks.
All this. Thought we might help each other. Why are you looking for the Leaden Key?
We only have our suspicions.
One of the members cursed my soul to awake and need him to reverse it. Close her eyes, lids flicker, then her face goes still, her mouth parts, little more than a sliver. Hand briefly drops open, spilling some of her parchment to the ground.
The gods are cruel, I'm afraid.
Oh.
The man you seek is Theos Ix Arcanon, Grand Master of the Leaden Key.
Oh, what can you tell me
One
about him?
more than most, though very few would know so much
I don't
as
even know
his
how much what
name.
I've read is true.
And there is no way of knowing how much of what
Okay, so
I've
he's
read,
ancient.
what scraps of evidence exist, suggests that he has
Reborn each
died
time exactly
many
the same
times,
man, awakened
only
during
to be
adolescence with all the
reborn
knowledge
each
of
time
all his lifetimes.
exactly the
Oh.
same man. That may also explain another supposed gift of his.
Body's no boundary to his
His
soul.
body
He'll
is
take
no
possession of
boundary
others if their
to
souls are
his
weak
soul.
enough.
He is
Yeah.
also not one to show himself in any but their most critical matters. If he has directly involved himself in whatever the group plots now, it may
do you
keep
want
me
from me?
informed. The Leaden Key has
Seem to
been
have an knack for
busy
turning the stones they've
lately,
created beneath. Keep
and
turning them.
that
Then
is
will
just
not stop
whatever
you.
it is they're up to. Figuring it out will be of great use to both of us. In your,
Very well.
if you find your trail has run cold, come to me with whatever you have. There is much I may be able to do for you.
There's something I can
Well,
tell
let's
you.
hear it.
On Theos and Blackbird Sanitarium, personate a patient.
Forgive me. It is unlike
Must be
Theos
furious.
to... He did not aid you as you'd hoped, I take it?
Take hard than luck when he's finished his business. Sure, we
Well,
come find you
take
again.
heart.
I'm gonna
This
kill you.
news of yours makes
Dabble in
sense,
animancy,
of
both
course.
suits of the gods.
To dabble in animancy is to
Maybe in for
puzzle.
something on a
If
much
we
larger
can learn
scale.
more about their goals and methods, perhaps we can...
Alright.
Try your best not to...
So I got an ally of sorts. She seems to care about the city and is willing to do what it takes to protect it, but she also seems to be acting within the confines of the law. The ciphers don't seem uptight or destructive or anything. They're just oddballs. Okay, let me get to a district exit. I'm going to head back to Copper Lane. I'm going to go sell some stuff. Then I'm going to go to the inn, get some sleep, and we'll end the episode. So yeah, it looks like we're getting about 2 areas of the city done an episode. There's a lot in these places. And there's probably going to be at least one more dungeon of some kind in the last place. Oh right, I can also go to the expedition hall, ask someone about that place. Right. Sell that one. Should I sell this mace? I don't think I should. Not yet. And I'm keeping everyone's special equipment. And that thing. I don't think I have any drugs, so I'll just leave all that alone. Yeah, we're all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Up to the expedition hall. I'll ask the important people if they know anything about that weird place that the person for the fire woman wants me to find. They might not talk to me at all, though, until I actually complete that mission for them. I know the place. Got a map locked up one of those chests at the very spot. Yours for 50 copper. Here you are. Find it in the back room behind Sonalid's shop. This one? Nope. This one? That's it. Okay,
Yeah.
geological map. Added to the stash. Area of geological activity in the Durban air Glenfath. I've noticed a description of a cavern where molten rock flows in a deep cavern. Another grappling hook is always handy. Down there. Okay.
Sure.
Well, at least we have a name now. Rather a grandiose name, but a name to put to the face of this guy who seems to be a mess. we have any other weapons that aren't fine? I don't think this one is. Yeah. Let's just do that. Can I do the same thing here? It's that cheap. Okay, that takes more because it's a gun. I figured. Do all ranged weapons take that much? That one's already fine. That's hard to determine on some of them. Okay. The other problem is this thing. I don't have much of it. I guess I might be able to buy more of it. We have quite a bit of Adra. If we could, I could effortlessly enchant the other guns.
Well met, friend.
Yeah, could I get a room? Costs money down here. Oh, that's what those two circles are. I never understood what... Whoa! Okay, the right guy's in the front. What is that? What did he just do? Oh, that was weird. Yeah, just start blasting the crowd of them up there, I guess. Actually, yeah, that guy's taken care of.
Yeah.
One of them is a cleric of some kind. Most of them are archers, it looks like. My goodness. Okay, I think all their spellcasters are dead. Gotcha.
Let's end this! Gotcha!
Okay. Well, that was something else. Who in the world were they? And on the scrap parchment, concise but detailed description of you. Everyone you known and associated with in your brief time in Deerwood. Potential grimoires for Aloth. Ah. Okay. Right. Where was the woman who sold the plants?
Welcome.
Oh, right, yeah. I'll do all the disappearances and stuff in the future. I'll take all of those. Thank you. Do
Well
you
met,
have
friend.
those? No, he's fruits and vegetables. I felt like there was one more merchant somewhere. Probably not, though. There was that guy who sold plants down in that other place, too. But he seemed kind of high. Yeah, she doesn't have much. Okay. I'll look into getting more ingredients in the future, too. The rest of their garbage went in here. Just get all of that out. And go rest again, I guess. I'll rest off screen. And I'll go check with that drug dealer dude and see if he has some more stuff for me. Don't know what that was about. They're all dead. What I can do, I think... do I have enough to make these fine? I think I do. Yes, and... yes. Much cheaper to make them fine than actually buy fine ones. Alright, so that's going to do it for this one then. We've got some more upgrades, proceeded more. The fighter leveled up, no one else did. It takes a while to level up in this game, gotta be honest. But we're getting pretty close again. Everyone's almost level 7. Alright, well, that's going to do it for this one then. So, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one.